The root of it all, in my opinion, is the inability to effectively communicate with Lamar Jackson, tracing to the fact that he hasn't had an agent ever from the moment that he entered the NFL draft. And it took years for him to get his current contract. And in both 2021 and 2022, he did have injuries late in the season, and there were questions about whether or not he should be playing. Remember, he missed a playoff game against the Bengals because of an injury. Oh, are you really committed to the cause? Well, hey, screw you. And this is me, not Lamar. Screw you. I don't have a contract. I got no financial security, and I'm going to go out there and risk further injury. You give me my contract, I'll do it. I don't have a contract. I'm not doing it. I got no problem with a player taking that position. And I think it's relevant now, Michael, because there was enough noise in the offseason, real noise, not the dismissive, that's just noise, actual noise about a contract negotiation because the market's changed. You got guys making $60 million a year. You got Lamar Jackson at $52.5. I mean, hell, Lamar Jackson's making less than Tua Tagovailoa. Are you freaking kidding me? Are you kidding me? Lamar Jackson is lower paid than Tua Tagovailoa or Jared Goff. And Jared Goff, has had his moments, but last time we saw him, he had 5 turnovers. So Lamar's trying to get his contract again, and we're right back to where we were with the communication issues. They can't communicate. Look, Lamar's job is to play football during football season. If you have an agent, the agent can take care of the business during football season. And I think that hey, he's got 2 years left on his current deal. He's going to be 29. He's looking for his next contract. And every year you wait, it's easier for them to say, well, we kind of think you're on the downward slope of your prime. And that's, to your point earlier, a year ago, all the things that Mike Preston dropped into his column likely were true. If they're true now, they likely were true then. We're not saying whether they were true then or now. We're just saying if they're true now, they likely were true then. Last year, he was 27, about to be 28. And there weren't these issues with this injury, this injury, this injury. There was no reason to wonder, is Father Time making a premature kick toward Lamar Jackson? And now I think, the struggles of the team, the multiple injuries this year, I understand why, if this is some sort of a plan that's being activated by the Ravens, to try to just get the word out that if you're interested in Lamar Jackson, give us a call. If that's the goal, they're going to get calls. The question is, are they going to get an offer that makes them say, let's go, let's do this? Now, I assume they're going to get calls, but I think back to 3 years ago when he was available under the non-exclusive franchise tag for 2 first-round picks, and nobody called. Now, in fairness, the Ravens could have matched the offer, and that's what we hear all the time. Oh, they could have matched the offer. Well, make them match the offer. Make a huge offer that they won't match. Or make it, if they're going to match it, then offer him some ridiculous amount of money and force them to use more under their salary cap. That was such a cop-out. But my point is, whatever was wafting around 3 years ago, it could still be wafting around now and keep teams from making that phone call. That's my point.
Yeah, and we know what that was all about a few years ago, why nobody called. Well, can you imagine? Here's an MVP in his prime, and he's available, and we keep talking about quarterback being the most important position in football, but nobody needs a quarterback who's an MVP in his prime. We know what was happening there throughout the league. It's a shame that happened. But I'll say with Lamar, and just in contrast with the Steelers, I was going to say that if you come down to this winner-take-all game, the franchise that would be more in crisis with the loss would be the Steelers because of the anger that the fan base has of not winning a playoff game in 10 years. Okay, it would be 10 years of not winning a playoff game. And the uncertainty with the quarterback who's in his 40s. And I would say if the Ravens lost, I was going to say this, if the Ravens lost, it would feel more fluky. Hey, we're not always going to have a defense that leads the league in allowing explosive plays. We're not always going to be in a position where Lamar Jackson is not going to be available, and we have to go into these situations with our backup quarterback, even though he's done well, or start the season 1-4, whatever it was. But I'm going to tell you, it's not fluky. This season is not fluky if they do move on from Lamar Jackson. Yeah, you can get an offer, but it's not going to be an offer that gets you a quarterback that you can trust. As many issues, if they have issues with them, I would say, Mike, I don't know how you feel about it. I'd say you're going to have to work through these issues and figure them out. Because if you think you can move on from Lamar Jackson and then get back to Super Bowl contention the next year, how are you going to do that? I mean, I think that's crazy. I don't see how that's going to happen. How do you get better? How do you get better moving on from Lamar Jackson and then bringing in the next quarter? The next quarterback is going to be significantly worse, and you're not going to be – I just don't see how you could be a threat in the AFC or in the NFL moving on from a quarterback who's not even 30 years old and is MVP level talent.
One last point. You know, we talked earlier about how if the Steelers lose, threshold question is, will Mike Tomlin be back? Then we get to Aaron Rodgers, and if Tomlin isn't back, Aaron Rodgers likely won't be back. In Baltimore, there is a possibility that John Harbaugh won't be back and that maybe the goal will be to find a coach who can maybe, and I'm not saying that there is a bad relationship between Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson. Both sides have denied it, but something's off. Something prompted Mike Preston to write an article that, you know, that like you're never going to see a Kansas City Star column with that kind of stuff in it about Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Like, just the fact that the column exists tells you something's off. That if it was truly a perfect relationship, there would be zero plausibility whatsoever to the column that Mike Preston wrote. But the fact that there is some plausibility to it tells you that something isn't 100% where it needs to be. My point is this. If Harbaugh goes, do you go out and specifically find a coach that you believe will get the most out of Lamar Jackson? We'll find a way to craft the right relationship. We'll find a way to deal and communicate and get him to do the things that he needs to do. One of the comments Mike Preston made, accusations in the column, was that Lamar is basically a kid in a grown-up's body, that he hasn't matured yet. Maybe there's a coach out there that can get through to him. If what Preston said is accurate, maybe there's a coach out there that can get through to him and make that happen. Or maybe it'll never happen. But that's one way to find out. Like, if they're not going to get the offer that they would want for Lamar Jackson's contract from a team that is willing to take it on, give the Ravens something, and pay him enough to make him feel like he's where he needs to be in the upper echelon of NFL quarterbacks, maybe the play is, let's just find a coach that is all about Lamar, 100% about Lamar, and will be the person that unlocks this second phase. And it reminds me of, if you've watched the Elway documentary on Netflix, which is it's one of those, like, it was the Eddie Murphy documentary. Like, why is this only one part? Like, I want more. I want 3-4 parts. But there was a point where Pat Bowlen had to decide between John Elway and Dan Reeves. Had to pick one or the other. Town isn't big enough for the both of them, and Elway stayed and Reeves went.
Yeah, Elway stayed, Reeves went, but then Elway already had a guy in place in Shanahan. That was his guy, and so Shanahan takes over, and we know the rest is history, you know, back-to-back Super Bowls. If they got a pick, does Lamar even – because I don't know. Does Lamar feel like Harbaugh is his guy, or that somebody on the staff is? Is there somebody on the, like, he would, if you got a pick, if you're Steve Bisciotti and you say, I got to pick between these guys, do you pick? And if you pick the quarterback, does the quarterback already have a confidant in place on staff where you say, hey, it's business as usual, we just got a better working relationship now than we had, 2 weeks ago?
I mean, that's a great point. And look, this gets into all sorts of palace intrigue that may or may not be justified at this point. But back to the observation from a few minutes ago. Just consider, you're not going to see a column like Preston's in Kansas City. You're not going to see it in Buffalo. If you see it in Cincinnati, Zach Taylor's going to be gone the next day. Like, it's not even a conversation.
You might see it in Cincinnati. You might see it in Cincinnati anyway.
Yeah. But the fact that it exists and the fact that it is, at least on the surface, semi-plausible is problem enough. So if the Ravens lose on Sunday night NBC and Peacock. Coverage begins 7 o'clock Eastern with Football Night in America. If the Ravens lose, there's going to be some questions. If the Steelers lose, there's going to be some questions, which makes it the perfect game to have the highest amount of drama heading into the postseason, which will have plenty of drama beyond that. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.